The old mansion loomed over them. It stood on a hill overlooking the town, Ravenwood Manor. A name whispered with fear and dread. Its windows were dark eyes, watching their approach. They sent shivers down Sarah's spine. The wind howled through the trees. It was like the mansion was sighing. The iron gates creaked open as if warning them.
I felt a knot of unease in my stomach, but I pushed it away. Fear was for the weak.
Sarah and her friends had come for a thrill. They wanted to explore the legendary haunted manor. She didn't believe the stories. Ghosts and curses were just silly tales. Sarah was determined to prove it.
Scared, Sarah?
Mark grinned, his teeth flashing in the moonlight. He leaned against the rusted gates, his silhouette a dark shadow against the eerie glow.
Don't be ridiculous. It's just an old house.
The others in their group, Emily, Ben and Chris, exchanged nervous glances. The legend of Ravenwood Manor was deeply ingrained in their town's history. Everyone knew the stories of its tragic past, and the restless spirits said to roam its halls.
Just an old haunted house.
They all knew Sarah's skepticism, her need to be the brave one. But even Sarah couldn't deny the chill that seemed to emanate from the manor, seeping into their bones. The front door groaned open. Dust filled the air, thick with the scent of decay. Cobwebs clung to every surface. The darkness inside was absolute. Sarah pulled out her flashlight, its beam cutting through the gloom. The others followed her in, their own lights flickering nervously. Each footstep echoed in the silence. The air grew heavy, pressing down on them. The entrance hall was vast and imposing. A grand staircase swept upwards into darkness. Portraits of stern-faced strangers lined the walls, their eyes seemingly following the intruders. The group stood for a moment, letting the silence and the oppressive atmosphere sink in.
See? Just an old house.
But even her own voice sounded hollow in the stillness. The darkness seemed to be listening, waiting. They explored the mansion room by room. Each one was more decayed than the last. Furniture lay rotting, covered in dust sheets. The air grew colder as they descended into the basement. Sarah thought she heard whispers, faint, indistinct murmurs that seemed to come from the walls themselves. She dismissed them as the creaking of the old house, but the hairs on the back of her neck stood on end. In the library, books lay scattered on the floor. A single chair faced the cold fireplace as if waiting for its occupant to return. Sarah picked up a book, its leather cover crumbling in her hands. The pages were filled with strange symbols and diagrams she couldn't understand. As she put the book down, she swore she saw a figure out of the corner of her eye. A fleeting glimpse of white at the edge of the light, but when she turned, there was nothing there.
A blood-curdling scream pierced the silence.
Sarah whirled around.
Emily stood frozen, her eyes wide with terror. She pointed a trembling finger down the hallway. Floating towards them was a figure, a woman in a flowing white gown. Her face was obscured by shadow, but her eyes glowed with an eerie light.
Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. This was no trick of the light.
The ghostly figure glided closer. Its sorrow and rage were palpable. Sarah could feel it washing over her, cold and suffocating. The air crackled with energy. The others were paralyzed with fear.
Sarah knew she had to do something. She couldn't let fear consume them. This was her chance to prove that ghosts weren't real.
Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward directly into the path of the approaching spectre. The ghostly figure stopped right in front of Sarah. Her sorrowful eyes seemed to pierce through her. But Sarah stood her ground, her own fear slowly turning to curiosity. She reached out a hand towards the apparition.
It passed through the ghostly form, sending a shiver down her spine. But as her hand passed through, she felt something, a tingling sensation, like a faint electric current.
The touch sent a jolt through her, and images flashed through her mind. A woman young and beautiful, betrayed by her lover. A broken heart, a life unjustly taken within the walls of this very house. Sarah realized this was no ordinary haunting. It was a story of pain and injustice.
As quickly as the images came, they faded. The ghostly figure flickered, its form becoming less distinct.
Sarah understood this woman didn't want to frighten them. She wanted her story told, her pain acknowledged.
Section 7. The Curse of Ravenwood. Sarah stumbled back, her head spinning. The ghostly figure was gone, but the air crackled with residual energy. She now understood the true nature of Ravenwood Manor. It wasn't just haunted, it was cursed. The woman, she realized, was Eleanor Ravenwood, the original mistress of the house. Betrayed by her lover and murdered within these very walls, her spirit remained, trapped by her own anguish and the injustice she suffered. But Sarah also sensed a way to help her. Eleanor didn't seek revenge or to inflict pain. She yearned for peace, for her story to be told, for the truth to be brought to light. The curse wasn't malicious. It was a plea for recognition and closure. Sarah knew what she had to do. She had to find proof of Eleanor's tragic fate, to bring her story to light, and finally release her from her spectral prison. Section 8. Confronting the past. Sarah rallied her terrified friends. She told them about Eleanor and the injustice she suffered. She shared the visions she had seen, the understanding that flooded her mind. Together they searched the mansion for clues. They scoured the library, poring over old journals and dusty records. The air was thick with anticipation, with the weight of the unknown. Finally, in a hidden room behind the fireplace, they found it. A small wooden box, its lock rusted with time. Inside lay a diary filled with Eleanor's elegant script, detailing her love, her betrayal, and her untimely demise. As Sarah read the words, she could feel Eleanor's presence grow stronger. A mix of sorrow and hope filled the air. They had found the truth, the key to breaking the curse that had haunted Ravenwood Manor for centuries. Section 9. Breaking the Curse. Sarah knew what she had to do. Standing in the grand hall where Eleanor's life had been tragically cut short, she read aloud from the diary. She spoke of Eleanor's love, her betrayal, and her murder at the hands of her jealous suitor. As her voice echoed through the silent mansion, a change swept through the air. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, replaced by a sense of peace and release. Sarah could feel Eleanor's presence beside her. No longer a vengeful spirit, but a grateful soul finally heard.
The figure of Eleanor, now radiant and free from the shadows of anger, appeared one last time. She smiled at Sarah, a look of gratitude on her face. Then with a final, peaceful sigh, she faded away, her spirit finally at rest.
Section 10. The Lingering Shadow. The group escaped the mansion. They left the secrets of Ravenwood Manor behind. But the experience changed them. Sarah no longer scoffed at tales of the supernatural. She had seen it firsthand. Even though the curse was broken, a sense of unease lingered. The mansion stood on the hill, a silent reminder of its dark past. The experience taught Sarah that some things can't be explained. She learned that fear can be a powerful force, but so is courage. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is face your fears. The haunting at Ravenwood Manor was a chilling reminder that some stories never truly die. They live on, whispered on the wind.